So when we try to control other people, there's a lot of things that can honestly happen. And a lot of times what happens is, imagine someone trying to control you. Imagine someone always breathing down your neck for an answer to a particular situation, someone always trying to force you to do something you don't want to do. Imagine yourself in that situation. Imagine the weight of their expectations on your shoulders. All you really want to do is not do those things. And not because maybe what they want is good for you, but because they're trying to make those choices for you, you sort of rebel because you feel trapped. And this is a pretty normal response because we want to make our own choices. We want to make our own decisions in life. A lot of times, life won't allow us to make our own choices. We have to be somewhere at a certain time where we have obligations and responsibilities. So, in the parts of our lives where we do feel that sort of freedom to choose and make our own decisions, we don't want someone else trying to force those decisions on our behalf. And people respond to control differently. Some people are sort of used to control, so they sort of begin a relationship with the person who is in control in a weird way. A lot of times, we'll see one party trying to control another, and the person who is feeling the weight of those expectations and control will often lead on the other person because they don't want to disappoint them. So they sort of keep them engaged and they say, "Oh yeah, I'll be at this event or I'll complete this for you or yeah, we can do that together." Anything like that. And they'll sort of keep this string flowing and running so they don't have to disappoint the other person. But then, of course, what happens is they don't follow through with those plans, with that event, with that promise. And this creates an extremely sort of toxic and sour dynamic between the two people because now you have one party who is constantly sort of being fed false promises, and what they need to do is realize that they can't control the other person and they need to let the other person breathe and have space and make their own choices. And the other person is sort of too afraid to disappoint the other that they string them along until the very last moment and then leave the disappointment for the very end, which is also unfair. And what they need to do is sort of set strict boundaries and speak their mind and say exactly how they feel. If they feel trapped, they should say, "Hey, I want to be able to make my own choices. I need a little bit of room to make my own decisions. I respect that you want the best for me, maybe, and I respect that you want to guide me in a way that would be the best for my life, but I'm only going to learn through my own choices, and I don't want to have a lot of frustration and resentment towards you or towards this relationship because I feel trapped and I feel like I have to make choices only because it is you who is pointing me in that direction." So I wrote about this in a post, and I think a lot of people were confused when I said that a controlled relationship dynamic often leads to one person sort of leading on the other until the very last moment, and the other one sort of just building in frustration. But that's the sort of dynamic that happens. And, if we don't sort of bring awareness to that fact, then we're going to live out some sort of, unconscious, almost karma ridden cycle of toxic relationships where both parties are refusing to grow and accept the things that they need to change about themselves to make the situation work. And that's not what we want.